A very warm good afternoon to all of you. I'm Sakshi, welcoming you all on behalf of Solar Quarter and First You Group to our webinar today on managing supply chain risks in solar manufacturing and procurement quality. I take the pleasure of thanking our panel members for extend a very special mention to our sponsor HQTS for being our crusader here. I would now request my team to play the commercial video for HQTS.
HQTS is one of Asia's oldest and largest privately held quality control organizations. Ensure quality in the products they buy and sell. For 20 years, we've been setting industry standards in quality control, from industrial products to products for children, for mom and dad, and for businesses, large and small. HQTS is your single source for all the quality control services you need for consumer products and food safety, for accurate and fast chemical testing, inspections, packaging and transport testing, and to ensure regulatory compliance for any product in your supply chain. We can verify and evaluate who you are buying from their technical to social compliance standards, and assess the condition of their facilities and building safety. We can even help manage your production, from materials delivery to on-time shipping. HQTS provides a full range of services you need to ensure that the products you buy in Asia are manufactured in a way that meets and exceeds your expectations, both real and imagined. HQTS provides the expertise you need to meet the quality challenges in your supply chain from locations throughout Asia and the world. At the speed you need, with the flexibility that you require, and that saves you money, wherever and whenever you need it. You can rely on our experienced staff and local knowledge to deal with the issues that impact your global brand. That is why thousands of companies around the world rely on HQTS to protect their brands, their business, and their customers.
Thank you so much, team, for playing that video. Here I would like to make a small announcement. Attendees can post their questions in the Q&A box, and our speakers will take up those questions at the end of the panel discussion. May I now introduce Mr. Manoj Misal, who's the International Sales Manager for HQTS, to share the presentation for his company. Over to you, Mr. Misal. There seems to have been a connection error on Mr. Misal's side. We will start with the panel discussion. And Priyanshi, can you stop sharing the screen, please? Yes, thank you.
I think Sakshi, wait for a couple of minutes,
Right. So, in an era where
Mr. Manoj, are you back with us?
okay, I think Mr. Manoj is back. Yes. Are we audible to you, Mr. Manoj? Allow us a moment, dear audience.
Please unmute, Mr. Manoj.
Sakshi, can you hear me?
Yes, now it
Yes.
is.
Yes. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Good evening all. I'm Manoj Misal, sales manager at HQTS Group India, and I'm looking care of international sales for solar and renewable sectors. Uh, so I welcoming you all. Sakshi, can you please go to the next slide, please? HQTS India is a quality assurance partner, and we are basically in the testing, inspection, and certification. So global coverage is near about 20 plus countries. Our presence is there. We are leading global provider of third-party supply chain quality assurance services, dedicated to solving quality issues and strengthening supply chains. Our establishment is in 1995. We are integrated third-party control quality control service provider. In India, HQTS begins in journey in India in the year 2008. HQTS India headquarters is based in Delhi. We have our own employed, certified, and technical quality inspector team. Our accreditations, we are in the TIC industry, so testing, inspection, and certification. So we are the full member of TIC councils. Also, we are the gold members of MASMA, that is Maharashtra Solar Manufacturer Association. We have well-known CNS accreditation, that is China National Accreditation Services for Conformity Assessment. We are certified by Integrated Management, Quality Management, and ISO 17020, as well as ISO 14001, ISO 45001, that is Occupational Health and Safety Management, and we are certified by ISO 9001 2015. So, integrated management system, we are certified. We are also accredited third-party inspections company for power plants by Bangladesh Power Development Board. We are accredited by the Petroleum Authority of Uganda for the third-party inspections, authorized to issue Uganda pre-export verifications of conformity, that is PVOC, authorized to issue certificate of conformity to Saudi Arabia, and authorized by the Uzbekistan government to provide pre-shipment inspections, that is PSI services. Sakshi, please next. Our services, we understood our clients have different challenges at stages of their supply chain, from helping them audit their vendors to testing and inspecting the products before shipment. HQTS is your supply chain quality management partner. So we provide inspection and supplier audits, testing, quality engineering, consulting and training, and government certifications. Next, please. So these are in detail our services. We are the solution. We are giving the solutions for the renewable energy industry at every stage of their product cycle, like third-party inspection services, third-party testing services, consulting services, design and engineering services. In third-party inspection services, we do the factory and shipment audits, in process inspections, PDI, PSI, factory acceptance test at manufacturing plant, pre and post commissioning and field quality inspections, visual checks and material inspections, and supervision and inspections, factory inspecting, port and container loading supervision. Third party services, we do the on site performance testing, like pre commissioning test, EL curve management, and EL testing, thermal imaging, like with handheld thermography, ACDC site testing, and all performance guarantee test. In consulting services, energy audits and management, project management and consulting, owners engineering, performance evaluation and improvement, and overall QHSE management of site. In design related, we have some channel partners, and along with them, we can provide you the services like PVCs reports and any solar projects, system design and project reports we can able to provide. Next, please. So, as per today's session, so our headquarter in China, and we have the dedicated full-time competent team in China. So we can support you as a supply chain quality partner. So while before production, there are a lot of challenges in terms of quality. So some of I have parked here. Several risks may arise before production, including dissipative PV manufacturers. PV module manufacturer may falsely represent themselves as a reputable manufacturers, but in reality, they are trading companies. But being a Chinese company, we can able to provide you the exact scenario, and we can able to provide the real picture of the manufacturers. And second, the payment fraud and financial risk in PV model procurement. So while procuring from China, you may face the payment fraud or financial risk while dealing with the overseas. So including scams, misrepresentation, or uh, financial frauds. So being presence in China, our team can support you, and we can able to provide you the solutions, and we will be help to overcome such frauds. Uh, Another challenge is a communication challenge. As you know, the most of the communications within the China, they refer the local languages. So being a communication barrier, language barrier may also leading to misunderstanding and misinterpretations and error in the specifications, other and context. So our local presence in China can help us, and we will provide you the proper solution within the communications channel. Uh, I feel that the after production there may be a lot of challenges. Out of that, I can able to discuss. Despite findings of legitimate suppliers, there may still be quality risk and can arise during or after production processes. So, like quality concerns, be vigilant against poor quality materials. Some supplier may use low quality material in the productions, including substandard solar cells, encapsulation materials, frames, or junction box components. So here we can able to provide you the exact. We can ensure about the quality of this product. Inconsistent product specifications. The deviate from the agreed upon the product specification, such as dimensions, weight, and the electrical characteristics. Misleading testing reports or certifications. Misleading testing reports or certification including fabricated reports or non-based or proper testing procedures. Risk of suppliers replacing or reducing quantity. In some cases, supplier may replace or reduce the quantity of items even after they have passed pre-shipment inspection. So these challenges after production challenges may can covered. Overview of the inspections for photovoltaic raw materials and modules. As a third-party quality control, HQTS can support. Sakshi, please next. So here I can able to uh, quality inspections in the PV industry. Basically, we do the services for PPI, that is pre-ship production inspection, DPI, that is during production inspection, PSI, that is pre-shipment inspection, and LS, that is load supervision. So quality inspection in the PV industry may differ depending on the stages of production, such as incoming material inspections, in-process inspection, and final product inspections. So each with this our own unique purpose and criteria, we can able to provide this stage inspections. Please next. So what is quality inspections? So quality verifications, verifying the quality of the raw material received against the purchase order or contract requirements. We will verify the workmanship. Inspector check for defects such as cracks, wrapping, and the visible abnormalities in the raw material. Documentations, we can verify the documents like checking the certification of original registrations, material test reports, that is MTC, and other relevant documents. Field test and measurements, we will verify the performance characteristics, EL test, module calibration, STC. These tests are little as per the agreement and agreed QAP, quality assurance plan. Our inspector can verify all the necessary field test, and he can witness as per the factory acceptance test and the clauses which we agreed between the uh, QAP. Other, depending on the specific requirement and characteristics, there may be additional checks including packaging, labeling, or client specific demands. Please next. So here I would like to explain you some case studies. This is India, this is China inspection case studies. We have supported one of our client to clear their to the compliance of DZFT. So we can able to provide you the DZFT approved CE certification along with our channel partner. And these are some photographs of inspections we conducted in India as well as in China. In China, we can do the PSI inspections, and the loading, container loading supervision can be done by our team, and through their evidences, we will able to provide you the DZFT certificate. DZFT certificate is required to as a the compliance of custom clearance while you procuring the raw material or finished product from China. Please next. You can see here the pre-commissioning test in India. These are the some pictures of pre-commissioning test at sites where solar park is going to pre-commissioning. And our team is, with through our channel partners, we are providing this pre-commissioning tests, and we will provide these reports, and after that your CIJ and further approval can be taken. Next, please. So this is our sample report, and these images we and all the details required technical details we incorporate in the report itself. Before start inspection, first we get the approval from the client with this template, and if something has to be added, then that can be customized. And with respect to the technical requirement and the QAP and standards requirement, we will include all the necessary technical parameters in the reports, and these reports can be uh, issued next day after this inspection. Next, please. So our advantage is we are the fast response, flexible and agile. Fast response in inquiries within 2 hours, and promise to issue reports within the next working day with bridging India and China. Headquarter in China and a strong local presence in India, HQTO stands as a vital communication link between India business and their China suppliers, Chinese suppliers. Competitive prices
हाँ
and
पिनाकी
customer
के केबिन पे चले जा.
and providing high
हेलो.
quality, cost
हाँ
effective
पिनाकी के केबिन पे
LPS
चले जा.
based on global services, strict incorruptibility system. We have the systematic, well in regulated incorruptibility system. We work with ethically and fair, and we have the strong confident and confidently we keep the strong confidentially measures. Next, please. These are some our reference customers. That is Renew Power, Shubhasri Projects, Loom Solar, Juniper Green Energy, Sorigin, Surgeon Realities Limited, FTC Solar, and many more. Next. So thank you for your time. If you are interested in our services, please contact us. And once again, thank you. Sakshi,
Thank you for that insightful presentation, Mr. Manoj. I'm sure our audience has a lot to learn. Now, without further ado, we will discuss the panel discussion. As we all are aware that in an era where sustainability stands at the forefront of global priorities, the solar industry has witnessed remarkable growth. However, it remains paramount to assure the quality and reliability of solar components within the supply chain to ensure the success and long term sustainability of life. The demand for quality assurance and reliability in solar components becomes increasingly crucial. The solar manufacturing and procurement supply chain is a complex ecosystem with inherent risks. To discuss this and more, we have with us some experts from the field. Allow me to introduce the lead panel for today. We have with us Mr. Gautam Samantha from Juniper Green Energy, Mr. Kunal Saxena from Ampen Energy Transition, Mr. Manoj Misal from HQTS, Mr. Rajesh Tiwari from Hero Future, and Mr. Bhor Mahendru from Fourth Partner Energy. Mr. Gautam Samantha will be leading the discussion as a moderator. Over to you, Mr. Samantha.
Thank you, Saksi. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Solar Quarter, for giving us the opportunity for today's webinar. And the topic is very interesting, that the managing supply chain risk in the solar manufacturing and the procurement. And we have seen from Manoj that the beautiful presentations on the HQTS. So basically what happens that in India, we have a 66 gigawatt level of installations, and by 2030, 500 gigawatt level of installations will be there. Obviously, it is a renewable energy, but solar will be taking a major, chunk of the portfolio, something like 300, close to 300 gigawatt. And if you look into the manufacturing, there are a lot of things inside in the solar module itself, because which is taking a 55 to 60% on the total project cost. So how to understand that this kind of modules will be lasting for 25 years? Because when from the developer's perspective, we sign in PPA. So the PPA is 25 years, and today, in fact, the modules are in such a level that it can deliver, with the 30 years and closer to 90% of the power output. So the quality is my subject, because once upon a time I was one of the auditor of the EDF, Electric de France, the French, the government company, and I was the auditor in Southeast Asia. So in the manufacturing, when we audit a factory, there are several things to be taken care of. Say, for example, first of all, we look into the kind of the EHS, environmental health and safety. The reason is that any manufacturing should have the compliances. Is not only that OSAs and the other things, but also on the environmental point of view, it should be non-polluting. It should be compliance to the local the non-pollutions, non-polluting, and then non-hazardous the items and all. Next thing is that the manpower. The manpower is the main resources for any manufacturing. In a sense, like we should have the experienced manpower, because there are a lot of sophisticated equipment. Are they able in a positions to handle this kind of equipment? Third is that the total quality management. In the total quality management, we will discuss in detail, right from the the incoming quality control, process control, then open sometimes, like what you do actually, the FG, we open certain boxes and check it. It's not only that, and then during installations also we check randomly how it works, right? And the other thing is the supply chain management is very, very important. In a sense, like you place and purchase orders, and I'm talking about the component on the module as well. Whether it is a glass, EVA, backseat, solar cell is a major part on that. And third is that how is the warehouses in both for incoming BOM as well as for FG, right? And another important part, something like when you're shipping out this kind of a material, you have to be controlled on the logistic as well, right? Okay, so we have a big panel, and we'll discuss each and every component and touch upon. First of all, I will ask before you can introduce yourself, and then I'll ask the questions, right?
Very good afternoon to all, and good afternoon, Gautam sir. So my name is Vibhor Mahendru. I represent procurement and supply chain of Fourth Partner Energy, who is a leading developer in India and has a portfolio of beyond 1.3 gigawatts as of now.
Okay, Vibhor, we are now moving in an era, from imported module to the domestic module, right? So how did you feel that, what kind of risk it will be, from the procurement point of view? Because you have a pipeline of something like, 500 megawatt the projects, and you have to manage, those things, and not only you, there are 20 to 25, developers, you understand, like today we have a 25 gigawatt plus kind of a, BIS and the ALLM approved, model manufacturing capacity in India, and by after 31st March 2024, if there is no ALMM extension, so what will be the kind of the challenge that you face, if you can narrate on that, it will be, very good. Thank you.
Sure, sir. I think these are very interesting times, and I'll just touch upon the recent past that all of us have been through. Last 3 years were very turbulent for procurement and supply chain, especially with the imports. We first had the pandemic in 2020, which had a lot of inflation across the commodities. We had challenges in the supply chain, and if that was not enough, then there was a shortage of containers and non-availability of shipping lines. The container costs went up to 6 times the normal rate. And again, if this was not enough, we had human rights risk for modules where it was identified that uh, Xinjiang province in China is using forced labor, and almost all the top manufacturers of China are exposed to that. And everybody was advised that, especially the investors, had advised us to probably do our due diligence before doing business with those suppliers. So these have been the risks of the past. So now, to mitigate those risks, we have had some kind of learnings that we can't depend solely on imports. Of course, there has been a drastic reduction in imports in India, almost to the tune of 70% from 2021 till date. And what I see is an opportunity and a challenge for the Indian manufacturers is to match up to the technological skills of their counterparts in China, because it is, if at all we have to be, if we believe in the Atmanirbhar Bharat, it's the product technology which will speak for itself. If the world has now moved towards the 670-watt module, where are we as Indian manufacturers to compete against that? So, in my view, the biggest action to be taken is the collaboration on the technological front, which would bring us at par with the leading manufacturers in this industry. So, these are, few of the points which I summarized in brief. What
Absolutely, absolutely, it's correct, because if you look, nowadays that there will be a traceability in a sense, like the polysilicon from which it is coming, then the ingot from where it is coming, and then third is the wafer from it is coming, and the solar cells, right?
Correct.
And module making is not a big challenge. The solar cells, obviously, there will be technological change. Say, for example, monopark to TOPCon, and some of the manufacturers are also going in the HGT and all. But fine, switching over to P-type to N-type, that will give an advantage in terms of the temperature coefficient, LID, PID. From the developer's perspective, these are fine, because when we bid, there is a numbers like LCOE, what we talk, right? So
Yes.
the denominator plays a big role. How much is the good generations on that in particular module as well as inverters, but in terms of the procurement, the timeline is very, very important in a sense, like there is a timeline on the to first of all, we have a challenge in the land acquisitions as well, sometimes, which is taking in more time on that, but the pressure comes on your side and those on the procurement side, that things are in place in a sense. One of the most two lead times items, one is a solar module, the other one is your transformer, right? Okay.
Yes.
So you have to be a little bit very careful on your project management, that things are in order, in place, and particularly on the module side, as you have rightly pointed out, in terms of the technology, once upon a time it is in the US and the Europe, and then for the mass manufacturing and then adaptations of the all which is called the most sophisticated automated equipments. Even we are buying nowadays, mostly from China, and not from the Europe, from the US. But at the same times, now the Europe has come up with a kind of equipment, but there is a cost delta. So when we talk about the overall cost, means the cost of ownership, including the all basic component bill of materials, and plus the labors and the others, consumables, the power cost and all, right? Okay, including the kind of the investment that we take, the financial charges and all, right? So from the supply chain perspective, so we have rightly mentioned that when we imported, during the COVID, and then one of the container was 5,000 US dollar, unbelievable, it went to 6 to 8 times or 10 times, whatever the fancy numbers, I mean. So getting that kind of a visual is what was a challenge. Number one. Number two is that the unloading and then transportations to your local, because these are the sites are not that the good motorable road, I mean that those challenges are obviously there, right? So we will talk more and more details. I mean, though India has launched the first PLI and the second PLI as well, but right from the the value chain integrations, not only on the module but also in the polysilicon, and then ingot, then wafers, and so we will see that it takes around the 4 to 5 years time, though still I'll believe that we are at least a year late in everything is what we are doing in the module manufacturing, I mean, setting up and then expansions plan already on the module. But cell line, the first cell line, I mean, you might be knowing that the Adani and the Premier Solar, I mean, these two are the bigger number, but Tata is also, but the volumes are not in the gigawatt level, So we have to have this kind of a value chain, where we experience that yes, it's not a 10 gigawatt fab, at least a 5 gigawatt fab. We have this kind of a number, this kind of a day in, day out, and all these things. But there you need a quality, where Manoj was, talking about HQTS. We will, hear from Kunal. Hi, Kunal. Nice to be here, joining here. So can you
Yeah,
introduce
hi.
yourself, and then we'll take it forward, for the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
one.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Gautam, and thank you, Solar Quarter, for having me. I had strategic initiatives and investments at Ampin Energy Transition, and it's primarily an IPP. We have around 400 megawatt installed, and then two more than 2 gigawatt in pipeline to be installed. And we position ourselves as a one-stop energy solution provider, and we are also venturing into solar manufacturing. So so I take care of that and other initiatives, whatever is related to new businesses.
You're in Ampin Solar, right?
Yeah, Amp Energy Transition. Yeah, now,
Okay,
so
great.
it was erstwhile Amp Energy India Private Limited, and now
Right.
it has, the name has been changed to Amp Energy Transition Private Limited. Yeah,
Great. I
so
think, yeah, I think, first of all, Kunal, I'll ask you, before I ask, and I'll tell you, you have mitigated the risk. The reason is that, I think in the industry, everybody knows that you have signed a contract with one of the manufacturers, and which are setting up with a 500 megawatt of capacity, so that you are ensuring your value chain that you get the module. Am I right on that?
you will that is not disclosed yet. So
Yeah,
it's
but it is in the news,
uh,
I mean, that's kind of thing, it is there, right? Okay.
yeah.
So,
Hmm. Yep. Yeah.
yeah, I know you have done a lot of good work, but you tell me something like, how will I have asked you the same question which I have, asked the Boiver as well, how did you see that you can mitigate? We were in the strategic positions, right? I mean, like today, till maybe 31st of March 2024, we will be importing the modules, but definitely the high quality, high efficiency, whatever you say, and then going to the forward, if you are not getting an ALLM extensions, so how do you see the kind of a risk in Indian expansion scenario for the developers to achieve that 300 gigawatt level of volume installations?
Yeah, so precisely, that is actually a matter of debate, and that's why we, our after looking at these things, we also plan to venture into solar manufacturing, and we strongly believe that domestic manufacturing should be there in India to for India to achieve the target what it has set. Yeah, so we are bullish on solar manufacturing, domestic manufacturing in India, and we are working towards it. However, for the see, currently Chinese, the ALMM extension is not going to be there after 2024. Yeah, so basis that there would be very limited capacity in India. Though they say that module is around 35 or 38 gigawatt capacity in India, but let's see how industry tackles that. Remains to be seen that how industry tackles it, because until 31st March 2024, not much capacity is again going to be there. I'm talking about the relative to what we think of installing per year.
Yes,
Yeah,
the what you call a per year installations made 25 to 30 gigawatt. I mean, in that
yeah,
particular rate also to be very less. I mean, you have to be much more in maybe after
yeah,
2025. Absolutely.
yeah. However, module capacity is there in India. It is quite fragmented, but as per JMK report, it was around more than 35 or 30 gigawatt in India. So the bottleneck remains in the upstream of the supply chain. Cell remains a bottleneck, and much of the upstream is not available at commercial scale in India. So let us see how Chinese play this out. Currently the modules are very cheap from China. So, but ALMM is a non-tariff barrier. So let us see after that how it plays out. Yeah.
Okay, great. I think absolutely. There are a couple of points to be touched upon here. First of all, the kind of the volume of what you are talking is a 40 gigawatt or something like that. But India has a manufacturing capacity in excess of maybe 50 gigawatt. But as far as the uh, new norms of ALLM, in a sense, like particularly if you look into the MNRE last circulations which was done for the utility scale, I think the module efficiency should be 20% plus, and then
I think it is more
for
than
rooftop
19%. I
19
think.
and a half for rooftop, 19 and a half, and then for other applications maybe 19%. Or in the other hand, what I want to say that it is predominantly saying that M10 cells and the wafer to be used in a sense like park. It's not possible with the poly, which was earlier we used to do. So there is a indirectly, the circular itself is saying that you have the minimum efficiency cutoff. Therefore, even in the PLI, it is coming in applicable the same, right? Okay. So in the value chains, I mean, yes, there are several companies has already joined in the module manufacturing, and by end of this year, there is another 15 gigawatt will be added. And one of the company, I can tell you the name, and they have a 18 gigawatt plus of the equipment, which is nothing but the Jinchen. I mean, they have opened office in Surat as well, in India, and they are totally booked in terms of the module installations, right? But we have to see that how we can get the high quality solar cells, but in the solar cell import, there is a BCD, there is a cess, and plus uh, I don't know whether GST will be applied on that. I mean, those things are from the policy perspectives, we have to see that what you told that what is the lowest cost of the module that the in the lifetime of a the solar industry. And this is the one of the lowest, which is going below 16 cents anywhere, maybe closer to 15 to 16 somewhere. I mean, we have not witnessed this kind of a thing. The reason is that the globally, particularly in China, which is dominating 95% of the polysilicon productions, and which is in excess of 400 gigawatt. But if you look into the overall perspectives of the global market on the in terms of the module is something like 240 gigawatt last year, 2022, and this year is expected to be 2080 gigawatt. So there is an excess of 120-25 gigawatt, and the last year, there are some excess of polysilicon, or not all polysilicon. I mean, there is a ingot, there is a wafers, and there will be cell in the value chain. So therefore, these industries has weaknesses. Is one of the in the lowest cost of on the module. Anyway, the cost is always India is always what I will say always welcome. Rajesh, I think so. Cost is not your criteria. Your criteria is the quality. How we can, Rajesh, control the quality in the value chain? Right from the polysilicon, the ingot, wafer, cell, module, and then you install the systems, and then during installation, post installations in the O&M. So if you can give a brief outlook on that, and which Manoj has been shown in the presentation, something like inside the factory and then outside as well. Manoj, if you can share your experience in the industry, which is to be done so that we are as a developers can maintain in the value chain in both the things, and then have the quality, so that it is not only last 25 years and with the power output of 90% plus this year, and maybe way forward it will be going much better and better, right? Unmute yourself, Rajesh.
Sure, sir. So, in the benefit of all, let me introduce first, and
Yeah,
also,
please. Sorry, I think
would like to thank you and the Solar Quarter for inviting for a particular. This is a very interesting and important topic in the current scenario. Basically, I'm working as an assistant vice president in Hero Future Energy, and I'm basically leading a utility design department. And Hero is basically a pure IPP, and we have almost 1.6 gigawatt of operational assets, and almost like you can say the vision is 5 gigawatt in coming 1 or 2 years in a different geography. So for that, very important is to secure the major raw material, even major BUS, and as well as the module. So typically the ALMM constraint and the coming challenges which we have seen, basically the quality aspects, that is one of the earlier we can say the capacity was not there in India. Now we can say the capacity is now adding up. uh, Companies are, even they got the PLI scheme, they have like the kind of promotional things, so they are now coming up with the capacities. Now important is the quality and also secure their balance of component. So the companies are thinking on the EVA side, they are thinking on backseat. Even there are, like we can say, the manufacturing and the like domestic production as well. So if we start with the particularly wafer side, so one of the big challenge which we have seen, because we mostly prepare or like you can say the produce the module, so we are not having a control on the wafer, we are not having a control on cell. This is the one of the biggest challenge which we have found. But definitely there we should know about what is the wafer lifetime and wafer charge lifetime, basically carrier's lifetime, and what type of wafer we are procuring. So which type of like kind of cutting technology they have used. But of course there is the limitation. So we as a cell manufacturer, if it is, then we buy the wafer. Otherwise, for module manufacturer, we buy the cell and we do the mostly dimensional check. And we found that okay, if dimensional check is okay, bus bars, multi bus bars are okay, visually it's homogeneous, color is okay, then we accept. But that is basically not a criteria. Definitely there should be a kind of IQC for the each component which we procure. Cell label, we should know about the kind of manufacturing, what type of manufacturing they have taken. It's a kind of acid texturing, alkaline, or nowadays, like you can say top cons or boron doping, how they have created the p layer. So for measurement of if we can able to trace out the manufacturing technology and their impact on the long term, so that will be help on us. But unfortunately in India we do the electrical and visual measurement. Later on we can think for the when we have cell manufacturing, then definitely we'll have kind of more measurement in if we talk about the EVA. So in EVA, there is a kind of cross-link measurement, and that is basically a gel measurement. So mostly people are having ovens, they are having a kind of boiling precipitation methods, and they analyze that the percentage of the gel is always should be a more than or higher than 75% or 85% as per the requirement or the recommendation of the EVA supplier. They mostly do the thickness measurement. So important is that the how much adhesive, what is the kind of addition strength, and the maximum gel component are there. What regularly basis you are, how much regular basis you are checking. So the kind of shift wise, or if the batch is change or lot change. So those things are very important. The pill strength of the EVA with respect to back seat and the EVA with respect to the glass. So those need to be adhered properly and seen noticed a regular basis. If going forward, like there is a glass, so in the glass people are taking in directly on the shop floor and then they are putting over the loader. But important is that how it is clean, how much, like there will be a visual check. So what kind of glass scratches are there, or if any kind of cleaning required. So if air blower or kind of deionized water can be, so that those things can be checked during the IQC. Ribbon and other things need to be checked properly. One of the important thing, how you're keeping, how you're storing the incoming material. So the recommended, because some of the product which are having a shelf life, shelf age, so those need to be kept as per the recommended storage temperature and the humidity environment. So those things, yes, these comes after the practice and after the, like you can say, not proper third party or some kind of if any auditors are there. After the component, once it is reaches to the shop floor, so very important is to check the each stage IPQC, in process quality check. So if you are cutting the cell, because nowadays you will get a full cell of 182 by 182 or 210 by 210, and when you are cutting those cells, so what type of, like your laser, how it is, the surface is smooth, or the water jet, how it is like cleaning your cell surface. So those things need to be checked parallelly. If possible, that like soft floor guy has to be take, or I particularly quality person has to be take the sample, and they have to check by the microscope or kind of some equipment. Furthermore, very important thing is stringing. So how the stringing, there should not be any poor soldering or cold soldering, we can say. So in regular basis, these need to be checked. The one of the important aspect is to implement the AI. Basically, the manpower, because as sir has stated earlier, and even the skilled manpower, that is basically somehow, because uh, we are adding capacities, and we are you can say not properly giving training. So those things can be managed through the AI. So if there will be a kind of completely automation or machine learning, so proper image can be taken of the defective pieces, and then the machine should be properly guided by that. So manpower can be checked visually. Uh, Further, if we go on the layup side and glass is loaded and then your EVA, so the important is to check the peel off. Even in the cell label also, there need to be checked the peel off of the cell and ribbon, how it is properly giving the strength. And then mostly on the pre-lamination stage, there is the very important requirement of the shop floor temperature and humidity. So what I found that it is very difficult. Basically, it's a semiconductor, and the semiconductor material need to be like you can say, the procedures and the manufacturing need to be on the controlled environment. So very less, like you can say, no dust particle, clean room environment, humidity need to be controlled less than 70%, and temperature need to be controlled on 25 degree centigrade. Even the person who are working, the manpower, they need to be a properly wear the gloves, they need to be properly having a set, head covers or shoe cover. So those quality things need to be added on the while production. So this is the basically pre-lamination stage. Going to the laminator, there should be a regular check of the laminators, and after that, like there will be, if any in between, there should be a kind of VI and EL inspection. So the each the production person, at least at the stringer, they should know that what kind of VI and EL images are coming. One of the difficulty is that definitely the EL image is the kind of X-ray or scanning of the string. So those scanning or X-ray need to be like read out by the proper expert, or the doctors who know about the kind of defect and their morphology with respect to the cell, or the kind of so there will be a gray, or you can say dark scale. So people should know about what kind of the presentation or what kind of defect looks like. So those need to be segregated and properly stop the poor production. uh, in the when we talk about like after post lamination, so there also need to be checked proper high voltage test, IR test, grounding test, and the curing time for the pot, like your JB pot. So those things need to be checked properly, and the sufficient time required for that need to be given. Mostly the particular one module takes something around 7 to 8 hours for the process line. So those need to be taken care, how like there should not be any process which we can bypass and quickly. So there will be after this testing, there will be a sun simulator, so voltage check, so that IV check, power check, so that is also very important. So people need to be calibrated properly by the golden module, and then golden module, they can make the silver module and some bronze module for their regular shift calibration time. These are like the important aspects. Moving toward like in the FG side, very important thing, like if you are releasing your module, so not 100%, but at least something around 5 megawatt or 2 megawatt or some like sample pieces, you need to do the some reliability test. So reliability test in terms of your wet leakage, your hotspot, and even the kind of LID, PID, and some of the insulation test. So kind of reliability in terms of damp heat, hail, and there are many like a mechanical test. So if possible, those need to be checked properly. And very important thing, when you are shipping the container, or when you are shipping to the domestic market, the cartoons or the curtains should be the kind of layers which are recommended by the ISOs and the packing guideline. So, and there should not be any gap or kind of proper stripping, and those things need to be checked properly. Once it reaches to the site, it is very important. The manufacturer should take care that it should be not too bulky or not too heavy, because there need to be a proper execution. One or two person can be mount over the module. So those things are on the ground aspects. uh, Most of the things I think I have covered, sir. If something you
Okay,
can.
and then a great, great, Rajesh. I think I know you have recently visited some factories and you have a very good memory on that. Particularly on the IQC. Definitely, there are certain things need to be taken care of on the process side. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. And as far as the operators are concerned, what we have rightly pointed out, it is happened sometimes, particularly in the C shift, when the bus reached and this guy has not come. And then what happened, the guy who is working on the either in the EL inspections machines or in the flash testers, they are the one of the experts, those who, or maybe in the visual inspection side, and then what if ask him to stay back in the C shift? He has done the B shift, and then he'll do the C shift as well, right? But you
Yeah.
don't know. Sometimes what happens, the guy has gone, you don't have an expert on that, C shift, which is taking care of or the EL and the flash, So there will be artificial intelligence in a sense, like the when the EL inspections are is to be done, as well as the visual inspections. So these are the faulty string, and these are the your microcast. This is the dimension that gives a clear positions with the red marking, and this is a position. So that's a human error to be eliminated. Number one. Number
Yes.
two, in terms of uh, the sorting, post this thing, you have pointed out about the curing and other 7 to 8 hours. But normally, what happens as in the curing room, it takes 4.5 hours or 4 hours or so. So therefore, you're not saying that it's 100% secure, but well, the FG is not going out, so it is normally storing at the Europe just tools. So it takes maybe next day, shipping out, from there. And then on the post of your FG, particularly on the pallet sides, I mean, you see that after the binning, there are 31 pieces of the modules are put in the pallet, and then what happens if the operators making a mistake? Say, for example, it is a 545, but even then there are three different category. What we check in the same wattage is that the low current, medium current, and the high current, right? If it is mixed up, then what will happen? You understand, and I mean, in a string level, in a module installations, right? So the low current is always the leading, therefore there is a huge loss as per your system design, and what you are expected. So finally, you can find out the culprit not today, maybe after installations, when you do a kind of your due diligence with your operators in the ground. But anyway, the other things that absolutely on the new bomb or anything, either the glass change or EVA seat, back seat, or maybe ribbon, or maybe solar cells, or maybe your PoE, or aluminum, anything, whatever, the junction box, cable, the diode, or whatever you change, you have to have your own enable, not enable, but you have your own reliability laboratory, which can check and try to see that what kind of the degradations are there. Are they within the limit? See, IC 61215 is a broad guideline, like with the 5%, but that doesn't work. You have to see that how minimum it is, and how good it is performing, right? Okay, so this kind of the test, in-house test, and when you are sending it to the third party laboratory, for your either certifications, or maybe pre-dispatch, before dispatch, and issuing the MDCC, right? There is a quality control plan, quality assurance plan, or control plan, QAP, what you say, right? And then as per to the number, they should also perform, whether it is LID, whether it is PID, whether it is LETID, or maybe what you say that only the dimensional check, the visual checks in the front and the rear side, so as per the criteria, and particularly on the EL, what you do, it's not a X-ray, it's called electroluminescence, so what happens now in the forward biasing, when you excite it, and this is a silicon material that what happens, this has got excited, and then there are high resolutions camera. You take up the pictures and try to find out if there is any kind of the crack or the dead area. The dead area is very, very important, in a sense, like these are the things from where you see that the module, not only in cell level, it should have like something like 23% is that in the cell level on the park solar cells, like. So this should have to have this kind of a maybe 230 watt in a cell level per square meter. In a module level, maybe 200 10 to 20 in the range of per square meters, it should give the wattage. So all these small the tiny things, whether it is micro crack, whether it is kind of a dead area, you have to have this kind of a rigorous test. And finally, what you told is the surface morphology during the laser cutting. Definitely the kind of the water, whether the deionized water or demineralized water. And next thing is that the laser jet is coming, whether it making any kind of a the, because during the water jet, what happened through the laser when you're cutting, you are making the silicon cut and then recrystallize. You're giving a within a few milliseconds it recrystallizes. And then after that, if you're using normal water, you don't know what kind of shunt, particularly because this edge, the front side is a negative and then rear side is a positive. How they are behaving, how good is your edge isolations is very, very important. Right? Thank you. I think Rajesh, we have pointed out elaborately about the quality test. We'll directly go to the Manoj. I mean, nowadays, as part of the QAP, and a
Yes.
lot of the developers, what happens, like they're giving a kind of a third party, they sign a legal contract and do kind of all the inspections with the 24/7 or the pre-dispatch inspections. What is your experience that how it should be ideally, so that all the developers or maybe EPC player get benefited with their experience? And if you can share of your thought process.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Actually, Mr. Rajesh has covered all the necessary point with respect to quality. But as being a third party
Bit
agency,
louder,
what?
please. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Is it okay now?
Yeah, now it is okay.
Yeah. Being a third party inspection agency, I must recommend that the mutual agreement between the client and the supplier and the buyer must be foolproof. Sometimes what happen, the agreed QAP may not be covered the necessary checkpoints. So being a third party, we face little challenges, because as per the expert, we must know the entire quality of the product. But being the documentation part, because it is mutually agreed between the buyer and the supplier and the buyer, uh, so it creates some little problem, and it, so some of the major point may be uh, removed from this QAP before the signing the document. So that care should be taken while signing the contracts. And we are the independent. Our role is the neutral. Our role is neutral. Why? Because um, we look after only the quality products. We refer the proper standard and agreed documents. Based on our expertise, we will verify the quality of the product. So my point is here, the whatever the quality documents, that mutual agreement, that must be the foolproof. Second, during inspection, we found such a start from this workmanship till the product testing quality. Some of the very important points that Rajesh sir, explained earlier. The temperature, the curing temperature, sometimes in the night shift, and the product uh, delivery, if they have having some pressures, then some violation. Definitely, I have observed some violations in the curing temperatures. Sometimes I observe the curing, uh, what you can say, the curing location, or the place where the models are curing, that is not as per the standards, because clean room and the temperature required, controlled environment is to be required. But as an inspector, when we used to do the various inspection at manufacturer, so they simply kept at the normal room temperature, where dust and other particles are chances to get into. So a lot of things we have observed, but especially I would like to mention, sir, here within our record, almost 40 to 50% defects we have observed. That means first time right material cannot reach to the client because of this defect. So within our analysis, our internal analysis, which we have done, almost we got the 40 to 50% rejection with respect to dimensions, visual, and other technical parameters. So
Okay,
API is a
Manoj.
must.
Manoj, is a very alarming thing that you are talking. The most important part, Manoj. I mean, before issuing a kind of a either purchase order to the module manufacturers or so, right? Okay, or maybe the cell manufacturer in future as well, right? Okay, we have a thorough inspections. First of all, there an audit, and then inspections maybe later stage during production. So audit is very, very important, because the rigorous audit gives a confidence level. And I know I used to do that one. 85% is that cutoff limit. Below 80%, 85% is not passed. And then this 85% rating is based on the equipment, the process, the EHS, then your quality, the manpower, the SOPs, the work instructions, and then your storage materials. What Rajesh has already pointed out, there are special kind of storage unit where the humidity and temperature plays a key role, not only in the solar cell but EVA, POE, and this kind of materials. So all these parameters, I mean, taken into the consideration, even the calibrations as well. Not only calibrations of the final gold module, but also the balance, the measurement, tape, the temperature, whether within that particular limit on that. But it should be, to the agreed. And yes, it has been witnesses in several times that the production is stopped because of certain non-compliances in the productions. And then there is always a fight between your quality control guy, which is in the manufacturer side, and you are as a third party inspectors, you're auditing and then or inspecting. So then there will be a joint statement that because of the certain reason the production has been stopped. And then even if you want to take into the start your production, then what are the things that is in order, so that you start the things, whether it is the malfunctioning of certain equipment or the product has got a certain defect. Because these modules has got a the product warranties for 12 years, and the performance warranty for 25 years. So all these are very, very important for its lifetime, and what we call the life cycle analysis, that we do a kind of a accelerated test, what Rajesh has mentioned. Fine, thank you. Okay, Bivar. Okay, I think knowing a lot of things inside in the the factory, what is happening. Sometimes we do a legal contract. I mean, so what kind of a binding or de-risking your legal contract, so that you are in a position, so that if something goes wrong, then you can take care of, or maybe it is also a part of your the agreement, whether it is a warranty, whether it's a instructions manual, whether it's a kind of a all the data that you need to have a traceability, something like as you told, that the polysilicon or the ingot or something like which is coming from certain province, so that you need kind of a due diligence. And then how you can have the de-risking of the whole thing, if you can share some of your ideas.
Sure, I think that's a very interesting point.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we have been signing a lot of contracts with our key suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
And those contracts cover a lot of things, starting from the commercial terms, that what is the price, what are the payment terms, what are the warranties, and what are the various service level agreements.
Yes.
What is the spare management, what are the key spares that are identified, and what is the uptime guarantee. If I talk about a contract of a inverter supplier,
Right.
there
Yes.
would be some uptime guarantees which are captured
Is
in
it coming to the 99% agreeing on that numbers, or but closer to
Yes,
that?
they do. Initially they did not, but now I think most of the inverter
And
suppliers
the
are very much
efficiency
established.
side is 98.8% and above, greater than equal to.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So we bind these suppliers via these contracts, where it's a comprehensive coverage of commercial uh, as well as the technical aspects, the service aspects, the warranties, so that there is no unstated risk. Of course, when a problem comes, we will approach those suppliers for a solution. But then it is very essential to have these documents in the first place. I have seen scenarios in other companies where buyers, procurement guys would just buy material, very high material, high valued material, but then they would not have the right documents and the clauses in place tomorrow if something goes wrong. So another aspect I would like to cover is that in our due diligence procedure, what we have done. So initially, it was more of a business audit, which a procurement team member would conduct. So he would do the supplier due diligence on his business records, his customer base, his turnover, his reputation in the market, etc. And also, it would be a quality audit wherein a deputed person from the quality department would check for the processes, the incoming quality, the product, the certifications. So that would be captured by the quality person. And recently, say about a year back, we have also included the nominated person from the ESG, or the Environmental, Social and Governance Department, to further strengthen our onboarding of the new suppliers. So the purpose here is to strengthen our approach in supplier selection, to navigate any reputational or regulatory risk that we might carry from the non-compliance of
True,
any
appreciate.
supplier.
I mean, those are the things for the noodle agency. Where you sign the PPA has to be maintained on that one. Absolutely, you
Right,
are
right.
correct. So I mean, I was thinking, something from the suppliers rating point of view. I mean, there are several manufacturers either in China or in India. So how did you rate them? Say, for example, my rating is a 10. Their past is a 9.8, 9.9, 9.7, or above 9 is a to some extent. So are you doing this kind of the rating as well? I know you are doing that one. I mean, not only in the module, maybe some other component as well.
Yes, so we are rating our top A and B class vendors. But if I talk specifically about China, not really, because about maybe a year and a half, our imports have been less from China. We are
Yeah.
now buying directly from India. Even for inverters, it's like the top global manufacturers have set up the base in India, where they do the box building, and the key components are imported from global locations. So yes, we are
So
doing a joint vendor rating.
yeah, just there's
So
one more
the
question.
rating,
In
sure,
case
sir.
there is a failure, what will be the turnaround time? In a sense, like either the somebody's will depute, or they will through somebody. So those things are very very particularly in your inverters or level and all. So right, what would be?
Yes. So we have defined the TAT for each of the components in our SLAs.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be, say, if it's a remote site, it could be, say, within 72 hours of the
Right,
complaint.
right,
If
right.
it's a metro site, it could be 48 hours. So it depends across the components and the site locations.
True, true, true. Okay, I think thank you. I think as the time is, I think it's a limited time. So, Kunal, can you also share of your thought process? Because you are also in the strategy side. The risk from the developer's perspectives. Either for any component, not only for the module, but also inverters or maybe other components. Say, for example, the SCADA, or maybe weathering stations, like that. I mean, there are transformer or a lot of others, electrical switch boxes and like that,
Yeah, yeah.
cable.
So, like as the the panelists have also pointed out, mostly those are the risk, and especially module side, inverter side, module side, transformer and these things, they because power industry is quite old, so transformer and the downstream side of electron, those are mostly tamed now. But the upstream means the module side and the inverter side, this is still new and still, and especially when the new things are coming up. For example, RTC power, or like battery is also associated with the solar panels, and now the wind is also in line with it. So so lot of these things. So everything adds to an added. There's an added risk, with all the components. So, but from strategy point of view, even if even from manufacturer side, if I talk, then as we earlier pointed out that traceability is also required. These days, if we sell our modules to Western world, like Western world, it is required, and I think they charge extra also to give it traceability certificate.
True, 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 true.
Yeah, and in some cases traceability is a very tedious job. Like for example, somebody would ask that the traceability of cell, and then traceability of wafer, and then polysilicon, and then if they go up to
Blah,
MG
blah.
silicon,
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
you will go into all the areas which are actually barred, in the Western world, but they're in China. So so that is a big risk. If definitely, contract and certificate quality is important when we are obtaining quality, traceability certificate from the suppliers. Yeah,
True.
that is
Kunal,
an
Kunal, one more
important.
questions. Yeah. What happens nowadays, the all the lenders, sometimes we have given a writing that the things are in as per the quality, but they want something like, HQTS or maybe third party, laboratory or maybe inspectors or their agencies, given, inspected, tested, and given this kind of a certificate, then they believe it. This is as per the law. So, don't you feel that this is a little bit on the de-risking side, helping you, to have
Yeah,
this
yeah,
kind of.
definitely. The labs and certification agencies, they definitely help in de-risking.
Hmm. Right. This is also
That is
giving a
absolutely
compliance
true.
to your, the lender side, right? Okay. Hmm.
And lenders, and we also feel assured that everything is fine, and we
Absolutely.
don't have to revisit the issue after 1 year or after 2 year or whatever. We don't have to do that. Once it is
But
certified,
even
we are
also you
alone.
have done a kind of a legal contract with a third party laboratory, so that any informations of the data which they were
Mm,
giving, they are also is a
mm,
non-biased and neutral, and also in within the 10 or 15 years, anytime, you can have an audit
mm,
on their, the credibility, what I mean,
mm.
huh? Right. Okay.
That I'll have to check with the quality team, but I'm sure that all the market practices have been
Yes,
incorporated in
I
our
mean this best in the
policy. Yeah,
benchmark in the market practice.
yeah,
Absolutely, you're
they are all captured in our contracts.
true, true. Thank you very much, Kunal, joining us. And then Rajesh, very quickly, so any more point that you want to discuss? Because we have given a two PLI in the Atmanirbhar Bharat, and then on the quality side, you have to be on the government side. Probably you want to have a very strict control. These are the things to be done until unless things are not passed. For example, as for the IEC or the BIS, the PID test is. 85% relative humidity at 60 or 65 degrees Celsius, but it should be 85 degrees Celsius, and 96 hours, so probably it will extend it to 122 hours, so something like that you want to put on that.
Uh, uh, of course, sir. One of like aspect like you told about the third party. So
Hmm.
that also I wanted to cover. Basically, important is how like experienced team is there. So once we are de-risking our like kind of so if lenders are inviting any third party, so there is the person who required to evaluate third party as well, because what I found, there is no any binding if third party makes a wrong decision. So that is
Mm.
also one of the important thing for de-risking ourselves. uh, vis-a-vis the transformer and other supplies, there also what we found, is the some of the challenges, because nowadays the big utility scale projects, those are directly evacuating on the 220 kV. So they are also like the kind of lead time, but the manufacturer also they are, because earlier what happened, there was the proper specific rating of the transformers, but nowadays, because the if you are bidding capacity is different, so you require a different rating of transformer. So those things also need to be catered. Coming to the question like PID and these, so definitely as per regulation, we should follow like IEC 61215 and IEC 61730.
Maybe in the extended on that one,
Yes,
right? Okay.
yes. One of the
Okay.
important is 3x IEC.
Okay, three.
So
Now, 3x is, yeah, I think people should, all the laboratories don't have, but at least you have an in-house, or maybe DNBGL or PBEL, a kind of a lab, you send it for your rating and how it works. That is, there is a question,
yeah.
how important is the random EL test after the modules are received at the site and installed? And what is the recommended sampling rate or sampling plan? You understand? I mean, see, for example, when the container is coming and there are how many? 20 pallets, right? Each container containing 31 pieces or something like, 620 pieces of the module in a 40-feet container, right? Now, even if you insist in your legal contract that there should be a kind of a, sensors, which is called a shock absorber, right? People don't agree, or your, module manpower transporters, I don't know, they don't agree on that one, right? Okay. So in that case, you have to have a kind of a, random, I know there are portable missions are available, I mean, you can create a kind of a either dark room, or there is a, that they can create a dark room, in the, or maybe any other things in the night itself, they can randomly. So what will be kind of a equal standards, I mean, something like it is mentioned,
So basically, sir,
in
this
the
is
site,
yeah.
I'm talking about, after
In this,
receiving. Yeah.
yes, yes. So it is basically as per I think ISO 2859.
Okay.
So there is a, complete equal table which
Yes.
mentioned like if you have a, basically it's a first of all, the based on the contract, if your OEM is agreed on the inspection label, so that is basically general inspection label 2 or 1 or specific
Yes, no,
inspection
one
label
thing,
4,
the
or
first of all, as far as
so
the
they,
Rajesh, as far as the, when it is coming out from the factory, there is no doubt on that, and then during transportations, your company will not take care of any guarantee, because but it is receiving at your end, and you are, as a developer, you are de-risking the whole thing, I mean, that's kind of another thing, so in that context, so it, how much it will be, something like that, if you have the numbers, or you can come back maybe in the later stage, right? Okay.
yes, so basically mostly covered by the insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like OEMs tells. So I think Manoj, if he can.
Yeah, Manoj, if you can share some of your, these things, particularly when you're controlling in the installations level after receiving and opening the container, and then putting the pallets, towards the table or the string side, right? Okay.
Actually, this question is related to the material received at site, but
Okay.
normally
Yes.
in O&M activity, so
Hmm.
yearly
Not
some
when
thermography.
when this is a kind of, pre-installations or during installations, not when. When is a bit different, right? That you can do it in a post this
No, no,
thing
no.
installation.
When
Okay.
material received at site, so before installation, the question is related to that, I guess. Definitely, we follow the AQL guideline, but AQL is not applicable for site perspective. But based on this visual and pre-electrical test, we can decide the sampling levels. That must be mutually agreed, but there
Yeah.
is no any
But
specific
in the
as
AQL
per.
table, that has to be there. This is
But
also
that has to
from
be
the
incorporated. We
quality
can
team.
follow
They
that.
will. Hmm. Okay. So one more questions before, if you can, that what kind of diligence can be done while importing modules from China or any other countries, such that they are compliant to the ESG requirement in terms of the sourcing and then the working conditions of the labor, what we have already pointed out, right?
Sure. So again, it is about the traceability. If we talk
Mm-hmm.
about the modules,
Mm-hmm.
so right from the cell to the glass to the EVA to the back sheet, if the details of those suppliers are known, that who are those suppliers supplying to your main supplier who is supplying the modules, that is the first requirement. And then further diligence can be done as required, because there were some clauses that the modules, the silicon should not be from the Xinjiang province of China,
Correct.
which again it could not be established clearly till date, as what we have seen in the reports, that they have offset some of the production from there to some other sites, but then still a lot of exposure is there, and that's a human right violation, and I mean the West takes it very seriously. That's why
So
they
this
have
is a
been buying
question
from
like,
us
this
previously.
third party, they can't do it, like HQTS. Do you know any
Of course.
other, kind of a agency or somewhere we can have a, this kind of information that get it? Because sourcing of the polysilicon, when you melt it and to the ingot and the wafer,
I think
it's
it remains practically very difficult
very
to do
difficult,
the diligence on a foreign
absolutely.
supplier. We can do it absolutely with no challenges in India. But then when
Yes,
it comes to an
absolutely. That
overseas
kind of
supplier, there would be a
transparencies
lot of
are there.
reservations.
Absolutely.
Yes, very much. It's
So
quite
the
tough.
actual diligence is very, very difficult. Like
Very
True.
difficult,
actually, one cannot do that. Like why we have to rely on the certificate or declaration that is issued to
True.
us.
COC, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I think we have discussed a lot of things on that. Any other points anybody can add it? We have only a couple of minutes to go. I mean, as per the timeline, Kunal or Vibhav or anything, or Rajesh? Okay, I think, thank you. We have discussed in detail, a lot of quality stuff, and as well as in the supply chain side, and then de-risking the whole, on the module side, particularly in the quality and all. I think this is for today's webinar. This is fine. I think, thank you very much, Kunal, Rajesh, Manoj, and before for joining us and sharing, taking out your time and sharing your such a nice thought process and your opinion on today's webinar. Thank you. Saksi?
Thank you so much, dear audience, for your questions. And with this, we have come to the end of our very interactive and interesting webinar session today. And I would like to extend my gratitude to our esteemed speakers for helping us, help organize this event. A very special thanks to you, Mr. Samantha, of course, for superbly managing the session as per usual. A big shout out to our attendees, and special thanks to our sponsor HQTS for their immense support to organize this event. We promise to be back with more exciting sessions soon. Thank you to one and all.
Thank you. I think in future we need more and more HKTS kind of a third party lab in India, to improve our quality and the benchmark, to the international standards, and everywhere. Right. Thank you.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Bye bye.